things on my mind, but
Oh yeah.
however you want to do it. My my gay little vape matches my shirt too.
Nice,
So
nice. I got this
mhm.
new kind of vape at a smoke stop in town recently. It's Caesar feeds the apple. Um,
Yes.
they had a box of like all the flavors out, and these little rubber tips you would put on them. That way you could try samples. And I
Yes.
tried them all, and the apple one was incredible. So I
Yeah.
took me a month because they kept running out. I finally got one. Found out they have a little digital scale here that tells you the battery percentage. The
Yeah, dude, I fucking
epsilon.
is it this shit right here?
Yeah, yeah,
Dude,
it's awesome.
it's fancy ass gizmo. I feel like a little kid. When I got it, like when I got it out of the box, I was like, dude, this is like a toy. This is badass. Like this is like an adult man-child toy, and I love
Oh
it.
yeah.
But yeah, it's got this little boost thing, so you can get mega nicked up.
Oh
I
nice.
think that's what that is. It lights up. It
Lights
fucking
up.
lights up, dude. Like, come on, man.
So cool. See what's cool with this one? It's got sweet heels, so I can adjust this for the intake, and so it has these two little holes. Like a normal vape has the one hole for the air intake in, so it has two holes. So you can either do a strong setting, less setting, or both of them at the same time, and it hits hard. It's great.
Oh, dude. Oh, dude. Okay. Oh yeah.
This is a vape podcast now. Let's go.
Yeah, man. You know, here's the thing, man. I come from a long line of smoking in my family. Long line of smoking. I started smoking when I was, pretty young, teenager. I was like a teenager smoker. So I would like whenever I could get it, I'd be like, oh yeah, I love smoking. But by the time I was 17, I was just smoking. And I've always made fun of people. I'm 24, so I've been in the prime era of vape for my generation, right?
Yeah.
Everybody does it. I mean, everybody young and old does it. I know plenty of people who smoke to do vape, and I've always made fun of it. And then now I'm just like, I got back on smoking, and I can't do it. I can't keep going back and forth with smoking. So
Yeah.
I got the fun little yummy Nicky candy, and there we go.
I keep a pack of cigarettes with me for two reasons. Even though I hit a vape most of the time, if I'm at work and I want a break, I'll pull out the pack of cigarettes, and after smoke break, I get a because you can work and vape,
Yes.
And if I bump into homeless people, I love this. If I see a homeless guy who needs money, I'm like, I ain't got money, but I got a cig, and I'll give him a cig.
Yes.
I'll light up, he'll light up, and we'll just talk for a few minutes, over American Spirits for 10 minutes.
That is fucking Keno, Caleb. I used to take the bus a lot. I was actually a homeless man for a short time when I was 18, but when I would take the bus, you not only with like working in the restaurant industry, it's the same in blue collar. Are you blue collar?
Yeah.
Same here.
Surveyor. So.
Yes, that's right. Okay, that's right. I used to do HVAC, and now I'm like a mechanic, specialized mechanic thing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool. But when I worked in restaurants, it's like that's how you like vibe with people. Is like everybody, there's like three guys, they'll go out for a smoke break, and you're like, hey, that's when we can like talk and chill.
Yeah.
And then it's the same, with homeless people. Like some of the most interesting encounters I've had in my entire life are with homeless people.
Dude, same.
Yeah.
I was leaving. So I live right next to a gas station.
And
I was walking out, heading to the gas station to buy a pack of smokes, and a homeless guy is yelling, hey, come here. And so I walk over there, of course, and he has a joint in his hand, and what's worse, the Holocaust or the slave trade?
Was it a black guy?
White guy.
Oh, it was a green guy.
So I sat down on the cinder block, and I'm like, well, the Holocaust didn't happen. So obviously the slave trade. And we just, an hour goes by, and we're vibing.
Yes.
I mean, this is a local Thomist 77 in my area. He's incredible. We talked for an hour. It was amazing.
I've always had my entire life. I think it's because my dad kind of instilled in me, like just to be polite. My dad's one of probably the nicest person you'll ever meet. Very kind man, And I learned from him, like, you just be nice to everybody. Like, you don't be overly nice and like and like, you know, like make yourself look weak, but like just treat everybody good and like they're human. And because of that, I've always come across, like, every time I come across homeless people who want to talk or something, I'm like, game, dude. Like, if I have nothing better else, you know, especially when I was taking the bus, and it's like, what do I have to lose to just kind of chat with this person who has nobody to talk to?
Exactly.
Like, whatever, man. I mean, how am I fucking better than them? You know, whatever. So, I kind of miss those days, dude. There's a while I lived in like a ghetto in Southwest Houston, and I just too many times, and you know, it's a good experience. It's a good humbling experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's one time I was leaving Publix, and this black guy on a bicycle rolls up, and is he's trying to get some money, and I'm like, I got no money, but I got a cig, so I hand him one. He hits it, starts coughing up a storm. I'm like, you good? He goes, lost a lung, and he hits it again. And we, dude, this dude was the coolest black guy I've ever met. We're hanging out, we're talking. Finally, a Publix worker came out and told us we couldn't be there because we were loitering, and he's not allowed on Publix property anymore because the cops escorted him out before. And he's like, I'm smoking with my new best friend. I'm like, I'm smoking with my new friend. What, you gotta I remember right yesterday, you're gonna arrest a homeless guy? You have a car. He's on a fucking bike. And we just started berating this Publix employee.
That's fucking awesome. Have you ever played Fallout New Vegas?
Never played a Fallout game.
In that game, there is a perk called the Wild Wasteland perk. And what that perk does it's at the very beginning of the game, you get to choose 2 perks. And the Wild Wasteland perk, what it does is it adds weird events throughout the game, and it makes it more involved. You come across just weird shit. It basically adds like weird side stories and stuff, very short things, but it makes it more involved and interesting. And that's how I generally like to live my life. I'm not trying to like sound quirky or something, but that is like the best shit.
Oh yeah.
I guess I have a good. I don't know if he was a homeless black guy, but he was a black guy at a bus stop. I've told the story a couple times on my channel because it was so bizarre. But I was going to trade school, and I was walking back, and I was going to take the bus to go to Walmart, and this like built black dude, like good looking, tall, like he didn't look like he belonged in the ghetto where I lived. He looked like pretty well adjusted, but he was drunk, obviously drunk, and he was kind of like hitting on some Hispanic lady. And I kind of like came in, I like walked into the middle of this, and she obviously was like, I don't know if she was crazy or just uncomfortable and didn't know how to deal with like the situation, and I don't know if she knew that he was just obviously like being just silly. He wasn't being like handsy or anything. He was just kind of like chatting her up because he's a drunk black dude at a bus stop and at 3 p.m. or whatever. And he looks to me and he's like, oh, could you calm down? Could you calm this lady down? And I'm like, oh, the bus will be coming here soon, ma'am. And he starts laughing it up, and he's like, what's your name? And I tell him, my name's Isaac. And he's like, he comes up, he shakes my hand. It was strong. One of those, just fucking giant hand crushes my hand.
Yeah.
And he says to me, "Have you ever read Shooting an Elephant?" And I'm like, "No." And I go and look it up later, and it's the best short story I've ever read by George Orwell. And he was like making a point with the point of the book is when the white man goes tyrant, it's his own freedom he destroys. And I was like George Orwell in that moment where I was the puppet. I was the funny little white boy puppet. Fucking hilarious.
That's awesome.
I was like, if I didn't listen for this random black dude I encountered, I wouldn't have read this story. That I don't meet too many people who know about it. That story. I don't even know where the fuck he read it. He kind of had like a veteran vibe. He kind of seemed like a guy who was ex-military, but I don't know why he was there. This is a weekday. I've always loved those encounters in my life.
Yeah.
it's always like stuck out of time.
That is the I don't live in a city. I live in a pretty small town, but that's the one thing I like about visiting a bigger town or a bigger city is those random encounters you get to have with people. Because here, you get to know everybody in this town, or you get to recognize everybody, so you don't get to have those moments. But it's always a blast when you get to have that random encounter. You're just like, I remember I had a weird encounter. I was stood up for a date. I had already sat down, ordered my drink, and I'm like, well, I'm not leaving. So I went outside, looked for the homeless guy that was sitting around because there's always one. Yeah. Invited him in, and we had dinner. Had a date with a homeless guy, apparently. And we talked. Great dude. He told me, I asked him, how'd you end up being homeless? And we kind of just talked about how he became homeless and how his kids kind of sucked. Very interesting guy. It's people, how do I put this? People talk about like fantasy books or Lord of the Rings or these like fantasy movies, like the whimsical, Whimsy magazine, always talking about whimsical stuff on Twitter. They don't actually go out and do anything whimsical. This is an easy way to go out and be whimsical.
Yeah.
Just allow yourself to be open to these kind of conversations with strangers and let the whimsy flow.
Anything in any fantastical whimsy video game or book you have, there's always side quests like that are happening. Yeah, dude. So my entire experience with Houston, apart from those, I don't live in a big city anymore either. I moved to a small town, and I'm a city slicker. Are you? Did you grow up in a rural area? Are you a rural boy?
Rural area.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but it's honestly great. I love just having I have a good parish. Let's talk about that. Are you a Catholic convert?
I am. Yep.
When did you convert?
2 years ago, from Pentecostal Protestantism to Catholic 2 years ago.
I had seen your tweet, and I didn't respond, but we have a similar sort of situation. My dad's side of the family was Pentecostal. Ooh. My mom's side was Catholic. And my dad became an atheist because of it. Are you familiar with like the Bakers, Jim Baker, and or he was like a televangelist guy back in like 70s, the 80s?
Vaguely.
If you saw it, there's a good chance you might know him. Did you ever go to a Pentecostal service?
Oh yeah. People running around, flapping their arms, music going crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, they can be fun. They can be a little weird, but they can be fun sometimes. Black guys are sitting at that piano, and it's just like, let's go.
Yes. My dad, his parents moved from Ohio to Missouri, where I was born, specifically because at that time in the 70s, 80s, that was like the height of the Assemblies of God, and that was like the Mecca of the Assemblies of God was pretty much where I was born. And my dad was like wrong place, wrong time to get caught up in the new atheist movement. But did you ever go through an atheist phase at all?
No.
Okay, see, that's awesome, dude. I that was my milieu. I had to like start from scratch, which is why I started out Prot, and I was like moving around with that because I just didn't really have much interface with Catholicism, honestly, and I didn't know how to the weird thing was, though, the idea of the Eucharist. I was like, yeah, that's just Christ. I don't know why I would see that any other way. And I always had that in my mind. And then when I finally came to Catholicism, when I finally went to Mass, traditional Latin Mass was what just blew me away. And it was like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. This is the point. What? Oh, it's like, of course. Of course. And that was the one thing that I was always, that and maybe a couple other things, but that's the main thing, that if I ever talked to a prod about the Eucharist, they were like, oh, it's symbolic or there's spiritual presence. And I'm like, nah, it's just Christ. Like, it's just the thing. It's the point. That's why you go. And I was just...
Reminds me of... have you ever read any of, heard of Flannery O'Connor?
I know of Flannery O'Connor, yes. I have not read any of her stuff.
Oh, there's a few short stories, like A Good Man's Hard to Find is an incredible short story. I recommend it to everybody. She's got some little sidetrack on her. She has the ability to, the way she describes people you immediately think, I know someone like that, like see describe this smug liberal atheist guy who got shot in the leg at one point, and this look, he described this look of like righteous indignation that he was like, I got shot because of I'm so great. And the way he described the facial expression, I'm like, I've seen that on almost all my liberal friends. Every time you insult them, they have that same facial expression. And it's anyway, see, she was at some big Oscar party in New York. And there was a very big Oscar at the time, very big, I can't remember who it was, but very popular atheist, was raised Catholic. And at the dinner party, she said, I think the Eucharist is a very powerful symbol. And Flannery O'Connor said, well, if it's a symbol, I say the hell with it. And then just walked off. And just
that's awesome.
Like, who cares if it's a symbol? It's Christ or it doesn't matter. And like, yes, exactly.
That's so based. Man. So what was the thing? So that's the thing. When there were like events that led me up to being like, I just need to be Catholic. I don't even know what I'm doing at this point. It was like a 2-year long process of like people coming into my life and just experiences. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. Did you ever have like a moment, or did you ever have like a few moments?
It was more of an intellectual thing, because I asked a bunch of questions at my partisan churches, and my best friend became an atheist, and so I started trying to figure out how to get him back, and so I started looking into like arguments for God, arguments about theology, and I found all the Protestant stuff to be kind of stupid. And then so I started to ask my pastor and youth pastor these questions, and they didn't have any answers. And then I found Bishop Balin on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, Aquinas, this guy's cool. So I started reading Aquinas. I'm like, well, Catholics are right sometimes, so that's fine. But then I read Trent Horn had a book called What We Believe, and it's just a very simple. Every chapter goes over a Catholic faith and arguments for and defense for it. I remember I said, okay, if I can go through this book and it's any individual point in the book that I could say that's wrong, I don't agree with that, I won't become Catholic. And I thought for sure he was not going to convince me on contraception. I'm like, that's just basic. And I'm listening to this book in the field at work, and I'm just, we're surveying a college. No one's there that day. We're taking our lunch break. I'm listening to the audiobook. We ordered a pizza because we were close enough. I'm just eating this pizza, and he finishes the chapter. I'm like, well, I gotta be Catholic, and I just took another bite. Like, I gotta find the parents. Took another bite. I got my parents know. Took another bite. I gotta call a priest. And this guy all hit me at once. I'm like, well, that's what I gotta go do.
That's amazing. Dude, that's the thing. Like, once you understand, like, teleology and ontology are two words that will start to describe everything when it comes to these things that we either don't understand or things that we just accept. Which, like, contraception is one thing where it's like that just defies the point of the action. Exactly. And then the further glory behind all of it. It's just and then it's like, well, and then this just sex just for the pleasure, it's all for the self then. So it's like just glorifying the self, which is just hell. So it all comes together when you put it in the Catholic lens. Oh yeah. I was just like, that's what's blowing my mind. It's so easy to kind of put that together once you stop just like, I don't know, maybe it's an American thing, but like it's just everything's political before everything else. So like contraception seems to be more of like a political conversation than it is like this is like I haven't talked to really a Protestant about that in such a minute that I don't really know what they would argue for.
I did recently. I talked to my Protestant friend for about 3.5 hours, probably a couple of weeks back on this, just on contraception. And his argument was that you don't have any biblical support for it, and so there's no need to have anything for it. And I was kind of like, well, you have in Genesis. I can't remember who was. There was some some biblical Old Testament figure who was instructed by God to impregnate his dead brother's wife so they could continue the family line. Can't remember who it was. And in the last minute, he decided to pull out and just lay his seed on the ground, and God struck him dead. Onan. That's right. They struck him dead. I'm like, well, you have an example there. He goes, well, that was for disobeying God's will. I'm like, but what did he do to disobey God's will? It's like he disobeyed God's will, but what did he do that was a disobeying? It was that act. So we can expand from that to make a pretty simple argument. And you add philosophy, theology, on top. You already seen to it. Yeah, biblical. I mean, I made a very strong biblical case for it. He was still like, "Well, I don't see it." I'm like, "Well, you don't have to see it to be, you're wrong."
That's the thing though is that's delivered me from a lot of dismay is the biblical thing. They're always like, where is it in the Bible? It's like, I mean, okay, the if you want me to just, this is the thing with Prots. I don't even think they know what the Bible is, but they treat it in the way that a Sunni Muslim treats the Quran. The Old Testament is just, this is, if I think in the simplest way, this is my kind of phrasing I use is just, this is the story of truth given to the Jewish people. Like the Jewish people have the source of all the truth. They were the most oppressed people, and God, through his love and choosing them, he gives them Israel, et cetera, et cetera. And then comes God as man, which just, that would make sense if God loved us as his children. So it's the Bible is just kind of like, this is the canon of that. But this is not like a philosophical guidebook, and we wouldn't really understand that until it was united with Greek philosophy. You can't have Christianity as it is now without Aristotle.
Oh yeah,
and a Protestant is just kind of like looking at their own translation of the Bible, and they're just like, well, where is it? And it's just like, well, that's the thing, dude. You're what do you think people were doing 1,000 years ago when they couldn't read? I mean, what's your point?
The reading of the Book of Mormon is not the story of salvation. Like they just completely missed it. But if you want, like, this great little book, where is that in the Bible by Patrick Madrid? It's a short book, and you have a little table of contents, so you can just look at it and go, let's see here. Doctrines. Here's one. It's not a good one here. Nope, that's not. It's not a good one here. Call no man for here is the priesthood. Where's priesthood in the Bible?
Yeah. My priest was just talking about that this Sunday. He was just doing a homily on that because that was the reading. Call no man your father. Then it's just like, okay, well, don't call your dad your father if you really want to be literal about it, like Prots will do with that.
I remember I got into the argument before Father's Day with some Protestants on Facebook, and then when Father's Day would around, they also making Happy Father's Day posts. I just started commenting that scripture. So yeah, you go that chapter. I would do too. So you go that chapter in the book.
Oh no, man, your father.
They weren't happy with it. I argue with people on Facebook a little bit. I love arguing with people. I think it's fun. I think it's good to do. More than once, my mom has called me and like I'll be in the middle of a debate on Facebook, and my mom will call me and tell me to knock it off. She goes, "Hey, that's your aunt. You have to see you at Thanksgiving. Knock it off." I'm like, but he's wrong, Mom. You don't get this. He's wrong, and I'm right. I have to.
That's awesome. Your mom's the Pentecostal side, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Ours is flipped. My dad's the Pentecostal side. Okay.
And my dad became Pentecostal after when they married, but he was a Baptist.
Yeah, man. I think our generation is I'll go. We want to. I got like a kind of a prediction. I know so many people IRL who have converted to Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy, and it's like, okay, this isn't a drop in the bucket. There's way too many. There's women doing it, but like, especially like Eastern Orthodoxy and traditional TLM, you'll find a lot of single men, a lot of young men, and it's like, okay, what's going on here? These guys don't want to go to the Assemblies of God thing, or they don't want to go to the non-denom thing, because I did that, and I was like, there's nothing I'm grabbing onto here. I'm lost still. Where is it? And at the same time, I feel like the Pentecostals, they say they're growing, but it's like, okay, well, what does that mean? Is it just basically people are like slowly over time going to be led to like an Albigensian heresy?
I think what it means for them is that they're fucking a lot and having some kids.
Yeah,
like that's probably the only thing that's actually growing. They're not actually bringing anybody new in. They're just growing more, and that's going to eventually hit a stagnation.
They are the horseshoe. That is the horseshoe. They are like the complete opposite of Catholicism, to the point that they do try to be trad. They want to go live in the country. They're like, I don't care about voting. They kind of, there is that similarity, but like they're not. I mean, it's rough. I don't want to.
Well, I was homeschooled, and in the homeschool group I was in, there was this uber Pentecostal family. I mean, the girls were not, the girls they, no makeup,
right?
skirts,
Yes,
only skirts.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the girls, my age, biggest tomboy I've ever met. And so tomboy in skirt, and it was fun. It's a lot of fun. They were great people, but there was always, every time I would, because even when I was younger, I was still Protestant, I still asked questions and was a dick. And so I was at a friend's house, and I got asked by the parents not to come back. I was probably 14.
I was bad too, but I was a cringe atheist kid, dude. I was even worse.
I was uber Republican and argued with some other liberal parents
about
borders and stuff. It was a mess.
It's crazy. It was really it was 2016 that like flipped the switch in my mind. There was a lot that went on in my life, 2016 and 2018, that it wasn't just like, oh, it was just Trump, but like that was the thing that and just not believing in God. I was like kind of thinking about that, and it was just like out of nowhere I went from liberal Bernie kid. I'd been really into politics probably since I was 13, and then it just switched, and I'm like, I don't know why Trump is wrong. Like when I watch him speak, this dude's like preaching what people have been saying quietly for this whole time. It was just mind blowing for me. I can never like think about what it's like being like, because I knew kids who were conservative. They came from conservative families, and I always thought they were weird. They were always the nicest. They had the best grades. They were friends with everybody because they were good kids and they were well adjusted. But I would always just look at them like how, I think in retrospect, I was like, I wish I kind of had that. But at the time, I was just like, oh, that's weird. But yeah, no, it's interesting in retrospect seeing that shift, because I mean, you probably never had a liberal like phase in your life, right?
No.
Yeah.
The most liberal I was for 6 months. I supported Andrew Yang.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Yang Gang.
Yeah, Yang Gang. That was me for 6 months.
What was the impetus for that? Was there some? Because he kind of had some energy. He had some energy going.
I think UBI has, insane as it sounds, money is fake at this point. It's just printed. And if it is just printed and made up and has not tied to anything, why can't we give everybody a bunch of money a month and just, go from there? And that was the simple argument. I still, to this day, I'm still kind of like, money is fake. Why can't the government just give me back $1,000? Yeah. Why not? It's not real. I mean,
I go a step further.
How so?
So what's funny? So something I wanted to bring up, because I know you've interfaced with libertarians. I had a liberty. It happens.
Every white man in America has a libertarian face.
Especially when you go from liberal to like a right wing, you almost have to go through it, because that's the thing where it's like, oh, people have their own like choices and self-interest, and I guess that's true. Not everybody just wants beautiful socialist walkable cities utopia. But and then I read Leviathan too, which was like, that was like a good book to read. But whatever, I wouldn't even recommend reading it because it's just fucking useless, really. But the fake money thing, I really don't believe money is anything other than like it's a state technology. It can't really exist without the state, and for it to be widely used and all throughout history, you've had plenty of occasions where even though gold is the basis, it's still you still have money printing. You still have debasing of currencies. So what I see is, no, like gold isn't really the the uh the main thing throughout his,
Mhm.
or like hard money. It's actually fiat currency that is the motif.
There was
That's the theme. That's the
I
theme.
can't remember what it was. There was some island of not maybe it was an island. There was some small group of people, and they had the money was basically these. It was a type of rock. I can't remember what it was. I'm blanking on all the details, but the gist of it was some type of rock. It was a pain in the ass to get little chips from, or little stones from, and so they had a limited amount of those currency. And if they needed more, they could always spend hours and hours trying to get it. And then they were fine, no problem for like generations. Spanish came in, saw that, bought dynamite, made a shit ton of stones, and flooded the economy with money and crushed it.
Yes.
And I just thought that story was just very funny to me. No, currency has a weird thing because it doesn't exist in of itself. It only exists as a means to the end, or representation of value, representation of trade, or of labor at least.
Yeah.
And I'm all for like this is where I'm a little between places. I'm all for like competing currencies. Like if you have competing currencies, they all have to compete with each other. If one starts getting overinflated, people start using other currencies. They have to then fix their own currency problems, and we just have a market of currencies. That's how it was in early America for a while. I think it was Virginia. No, yeah, Virginia used tobacco for a while in the early America
That's
as
awesome.
currency. Yeah,
That's awesome.
and I just think that's a better way to handle it. Like you can't avoid it, but I think that's the best means to avoid the centralization of currency and then the printing of currency. Just have each state would have its own currency. Florida coin, Delaware coin, and each state just kind of competes on that level.
Yeah. Okay. I'm an okay. I'm not a U.S. government fan, but I guess, and I'm not even really a fan of. Well, okay. Actually, that's the thing. I'm not a fan of this thing because I'm actually the only thing that I hate in this world is usury, and like everything is built upon that. But that is the tether between everything, specifically because U.S. bonds are they're like this mimetic thing that the entire world bases everything off of, and they rely on it because that's what brings legitimacy to whatever currency or financial instruments they have. And so I don't I well I guess the ultimate thing is what I've come to terms with is money cannot be decentralized, and it really shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And fiat currency is just, especially in modern times, it's just a tool that can be used, as far as we've seen it, for a lot of evil, but it's a tool that can be used for complete good. It's just not managed in a way. It's not teleologically guided towards a Catholic life. People are not. It's I don't even know what people in government want to do with the technology they have, or the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve, as an idea, I'm not even against. I'm not against the idea of a national bank. It just never achieved that. It's always played this middle ground of like, maybe we'll save some people, but we don't want to go over. It's like just forgive debt. Just do it. Just stop. When 2008 happens, just forgive all the people who own the houses and just.
What was that? What was that meme? It was some lady on Twitter who said, "We should just pin all the student debt on one guy and then kill him." And it's like that's just like some pastor quote tweet was like, "Welcome to Christianity."
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like, you really need it. I don't know we need a scapegoat. You need a scapegoat somehow for everything to get. Economically, there needs to be a scapegoat for this debt. And as that's going to be usury to Jews, it's going to be who knows what it's going to be.
That's a good
white people,
point.
who knows? There has to be a scapegoat at some point.
That's a really really good point, dude. I don't know how to because that's what I would like to envision in my butterflies and rainbows socialist utopia with a bunch of walkable cities, is just Jubilee. Like Jews did it a lot. I mean, it's happened in Europe in the past a lot. Like, just forgive the debt and just start like why. We race. Everybody is on a race to like pay down their debt. We know that interest rates are like the ultimate evil. the only people who really lose are fat Italians and people of a certain tribe on Wall Street. And I'm just like, they got their penthouses, they can
It'll be
keep it,
fine.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is what keeps American hegemony is that usury. Everybody needs to be wanting the thing is the world it's the Eurodollar problem. Every company in every nation has all their sovereign debt is in basically it's in US dollars because that's what they borrow from other people. Anytime they want to pay for something, they use US dollars. So
Yeah.
and they need to, like, there's not anyone forcing them. There's no petrodollar. It's just why would you use something else? And if you did, it's like, okay, well, America's not going to like that, and other countries would be like, come on, bro, like just use dollars.
Didn't
It's just a
was it
meme.
China,
It's a meme.
Brazil, and Russia? Didn't they
BRICS.
meet up with? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so BRICS. I wish I used to keep so much more tabs on like the worldwide financial economy, but it's such a or the news. I used to be so finger on the pulse with that stuff, but it's just so it's an addiction in the same way that like people looking at geopolitics have the same kind of addiction. But BRICS, from what I understand, you're still dealing like it still goes back to the dollar. Like that's what I've seen. I don't know the logistics of it, so I don't even know. If I was going to assume, they're probably not doing that because there's too many people in the middle. I mean, so Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That's it. It's like
that sounds about right.
It's like, I mean, these countries are just kind of committing suicide when they do that. It's you're left out of the worldwide economy that maintains the peace that you need to exist as a country. I just don't know why you do that. I think it's kind of a flex, and I think as long as the US dollar continues to be the world reserve currency, it's always going to be calling bluffs on people. It was the same, Bukele. I do like Bukele now because he's going he's going Pinochet on those MS-13 brothers. But like, he did the whole Bitcoin thing. You can pay your taxes in Bitcoin, and the nation of El Salvador. And I know this, they couldn't get a $1 billion loan from the World Bank or whatever. So he's just like, oh, okay, we'll just use Bitcoin now, and maybe if we can gamble on it right at its height, we can make money. And then if you look at the receipts, the state of El Salvador lost all the money it made in buying Bitcoin. So it was just kind of like, I remember people were like, oh, look at this guy, he's on the edge, he's rogue, it's like, but he fucked it all up. It's because you can't the decentralized meme is, I don't know why he did it. I don't know if he did it for stupid reasons or he's a charlatan. I don't know, but I don't know if I could ever be convinced of money being decentralized. And I would like, because the thing that preserves world peace is centralized money. And the best country to do that is America. It's not, if anything, I know it's not China or Russia.
Yeah.
So
Turbo America, baby. Let's just keep going to the car crashes.
Turbo America, bro.
Turbo America.
Yes.
No, you mentioned meme, scapegoat, and memetic. Have you read any Renee Zerard or no? Okay, because he uses those words a lot. So I was just wondering.
I've read the one that comes to mind is Chad Haig, but that's a whole nother thing. He uses meme and memetic a lot too. Memological, actually. He uses the word memological.
Nerd.
Yeah, dude. He has a YouTube channel. You watch him for a minute, you're like, this guy's a fucking nerd. But yeah. I know the name.
I try not to look like a nerd.
Yeah.
Despite all the books.
My bookshelf is in another room, but it is smaller than that. It's mostly a bunch of boring nerd shit that I just get hyped up on and then move on.
It's mainly just I don't know.
I need
Philosophy
more
books.
I need more Catholic books.
Mm.
You know, I need
There's
more.
so many
I need
good
to.
ones.
Yeah, I know. I need to be able to like. You know, I see these. You know, Thomistic disputations on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want or to have the ability to be like that guy, but like the way he's able to just be like, boom, bam, here
Yeah.
you go. It's like that's and he's got when I've gone into his spaces, he's super fresh and chill.
Mhm.
He's very cogent with people.
Oh yeah.
Um
He's on TikTok now, and
oh boy.
he's very funny on TikTok because he makes he duets people on TikTok and debunks them all, goes to the comments, debunks them all. And are you on TikTok at all? Have you ever used it?
I use TikTok for when my friends send me silly videos.
Well, TikTok live streams are just the lowest of the low when it comes to live streams.
It's how you reach the kids though.
Yes, that's why I'm on TikTok.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they have some weird shit from being like this lady was screaming to the mic and see what every time someone joins my live, I'll put an octopus on my head. Click the live and she's sitting there with an octopus on her fucking head, and she's singing Taylor Swift songs and pouring ketchup over it. For some
Hopefully
reason.
it wasn't a blue octopus. That'd be anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Actually, I have a hold on.
Oh, you have the cute little octopus? Bro.
Put this right here. My mom made this for me like 2 months before the octopus meme.
Dude, this
So I
is
was
a
ahead
sign.
of
I think this is a prophecy. As a dispensationalist Baptist, I think this is a prophecy, bro. I'm gonna go. My vape died. I'm gonna get a vape, another vape that I have,
No problem.
and then a drink. I'll be right back.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna get a drink too. There we go.
I can't believe my new fancy little vape already died. What beer are you drinking?
Oh, it's one of those Jack Daniels Pete's cocktail things. They're tasty, not strong, but they're tasty.
In my neck of the woods, I don't know what it is. I don't know how popular these things are, but for high alcohol content, cheap drinks that are not like, I'm not like going for loco mode like I have issues. I do this pirate water stuff. It's just like one of many mixed hard seltzer type drinks. But I lived in the hill country in Texas for a while, and there was a lot of great wine. And when I'm in my element, I like to be drinking some wine. But
love a good wine.
Oh yeah, dude, I go crazy on wine.
I try to avoid drinking too much on stream because I had an issue with I recorded with Jeremy from Continentales, and we were talking about Protestants, and at one point I kind of was a little tipsy. and I went like these damn fucking, and I just dropped the hard end.
Oh yeah,
And I was just like, I gotta edit that one out. I gotta go edit that. And the next day, one of the guys who was on the podcast, when applying to school and stuff, his counselor asked him for like, so what's something you do extracurricular you put down on a like a college application? He put, oh, I appear on podcasts sometimes and I talk about these different ideas. And I'm like, dude, I dropped an episode today where I dropped a hard R. What the fuck?
That's hilarious.
Mm.
You know, that's the funny thing. I keep it real. You know, I that's the thing. I started face effing on my channel before other guys were doing it in my circles, because it's just like, why I can't. I want like I mean, one, there's just like, I want the presence. I want to talk to people, but like, I've never liked the idea of being totally anonymous with my presence.
Yeah.
So it's like, people know I'm from Texas. People know, you know, it's like the work that I'm blue collar, the work that I do. It's all this, because it's like, it feels weird having to like separate that shit. Oh, yeah. Hold up, gotta fucking charge the fucking laptop.
Yeah, I'm not anonymous on YouTube, but I am on Twitter only because I think the profile pick and handle for Trash Socrates is just funnier. So I'm not anonymous, but I enjoy that, you know, aesthetic of it. So
you gotta watch out for those Twitter fuckers too. I have a buddy who's like a trad Catholic. He's actually gonna show up at my place in a little bit. But
nice.
He like, there was like he was like being very cogent in like a disagreement with an SSPX guy on Twitter, and the guy started like trying to dox him. And it was like, dude, no one's even fucking done that to me. You're like just a, you know, random Twitter guy, and like you softly, like, kindly disagreed, and this dude was like, oh yeah, well, I know who. Like, dude, chill the fuck out. This is why people don't want to go to SSPX, dog. Come on, chill out.
I am secure. In fact, I work for my dad, and he owns the company, and so I don't have to. I'm not. You know, I mean, I
worked for a small company, and I had a coworker, and I think my boss knew my channel, so it was just like, very small company. That was the easy life. Now I work for a bigger one. So, well, the thing is working blue collar, you know that the guys, if they ever saw your shit, they'd be like, "What the fuck is this? I don't get. You gay or something? You talking about fucking who's Thomas Aquinas? You know, it's not like you're working for some fucking megalo corporation, and they're like, well, you said a naughty word on the internet. We're gonna have to terminate your employment."
Sadly, though my job is blue collar, all the guys who work there are younger than me. I'm only 25, you know, so they're all younger than me, and they're very, very lib. I work with a incredibly liberal atheist Irish guy, and I made a joke about how awful and stinky and smelly the Hindu people are. And he's like, "Hey, that's pretty racist." And I'm like, "Hi, Professor No Racist. Nice to meet you." And he doesn't know how to respond to that. He's the liberals call you racist. You're just like, "Yes, it's properly ordered."
Yeah. It's like he's like, "That's racist." It's like, yeah. What your point? Like,
are you not?
Have you spent any time around Indian people? I mean, they're lovely, but like, go to their house, eat their food. I mean, come on. All right.
I'm saying.
I hang out with Mexicans, and they smell delicious because their food smells delicious. But yeah, Indians, a little bit different, dog. Irish. I mean, what do you smell like? Fucking potatoes? Come on, guy.
Irish.
I haven't really worked with liberals. Like, I worked at a liberal company. I won't say what, but when I was like a teenager, and they were like hippie liberals, so they were easier to deal with. And this was before the COOF, so I think it was a little bit easier. But yeah, I in the last 5 years, I've developed like a loud mouth. I don't really care what people, and it's kind of nice, and I'm gonna keep that going, because the best thing that I think we can do as Catholics, or just broadly people who care about some absolute truth, is just stop trying to soften language for other
Yeah.
people who clearly don't care about truth like you do. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
that
Just say it like it is. Be real.
Mhm.
Let the authenticity sign true.
Yes.
I got a little too real sometimes. That I honestly I should have been at some point. I probably should tempo a little bit because I had an issue with technically I'm not. I might not. I don't know if I'm allowed back on a college campus right now. Well, I used to go to college because of some issues that happened there. So I probably should keep my mouth shut sometimes. I mean,
Well, do you want to go back to college?
not there. So I said not there.
No,
Not there. So I think I'm fine. But I don't think I'm allowed back on that specific campus.
That's fair. I would probably end up in the same situation, man. It's not really that hard, honestly.
No, I mean I had the cops called on me.
I know, like I can think of 2 other people who are in a similar, and it was just like being crass or being just just that Irish glib. You just want to blabber and you want to say what you think, and there you go.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
I was in a discussing group on one of the classes, and it was question was like, should free speech be allowed on college campuses? And so I made my argument. Yeah. So then this one of the ladies in the class, she commented, no, you do not have free speech to not be allowed on college campuses. You do not have the right to bring offensive ideas. Forced me to listen to them. And I commented, your inability to hear new ideas is offensive to me. You shouldn't be allowed on college campuses. And that didn't go over well.
Well, it's weird because it's like that's the like isn't like so perennially tradition the college is like the place where people blabber about their autistic ideas,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why a lib
free speech.
yeah like it's almost like I would see the Catholic Church almost being like you can't blaspheme Mary and Christ at the university and stuff, and then I would almost like I don't even know the lineage of the liberal going back to like the Protestant Revolution and the Scientific Revolution isn't like the crux of your thing being able to say whatever the fuck you want, like
but that was before they were in power.
Yeah,
now in power, and now they're like, you gotta, act like when you're in power. When in Rome, act like you're in Rome. When you have power, act like you have power. And now that's what they do. And it's,
yeah.
To be honest, I don't really do I discuss politics when it comes up, or if I see it on the news, or it's just such a it's boring.
I've noticed this with all Catholics too. It's just like I can't even like find time to care about like why it's like random insanity, and it's just like radiation. It's like the heat death of the news is happening right now. There's nothing.
News.
It's I mean Israel war meme, like you have everything that you want, and it's like it's just boring now. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not even surprised. But yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say about politics? You don't even.
It's boring. It's not really interesting, like you're saying. Here's how I put it. Politics sucks because like every political story I see, I read as the world is breaking news. The world is still falling, and that's it. It's just like, world's falling.
Yeah.
It's over. Okay. Christ won 2,000 years ago. I'm gonna pray and be happy about that. I don't need to worry about this right now. You see a news story, you say a prayer, you move on. You don't really have to, in-depth study any of it, really. Unless like, have a political podcast or you want to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I will say, go ahead.
The way that I found myself confronting it, and I think this is me just going full, honoring my peasant blood, which I'm just like, dude, just put these people in prison. Like I see a lot of people, and I'm just like, I remember we had the drug war, we had the war on terror, and neither of them really worked out. One kind of fizzled away, and then the other's just gotten worse. And it's just like, okay, like, with like the drug thing, just like the death penalty for all drug smugglers and manufacturers, and then the victims, like, force them to go through some kind of like Catholic, ideally, like rehab program. And it's like, you know, it's something interesting, like the shootings, you know, throughout our entire life, we don't like, oh, mass shooting and all this shit. But it's like, okay, just look at it literally logically. You have a shooting happen. What is the reason that happened? You have plenty of violent attacks that happen in other countries who have very strict laws, and we have the same annoying. I don't get headaches, and I feel like I get a headache when I think about this, because it's like, dude, the problem isn't the guns. There's the background to it, which is whatever issue, like mental health or spiritual problems. My visitors are here, and and um but that's the issue that you see with with your news. So it's just you're not going to solve any problems by like having the same boomer con argument over and over again.
Well, if you visited here, let's wrap this up. Go ahead and give your plugs so that people know where they can find you, and then we'll close it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm ourospost, OUROS post on YouTube and Substack. I had an interview with Dr. J. Otto Pohl about the German ethnic cleansing of Germans in the Soviet Union, which was really interesting. I delve into a lot of a lot of topics, and I write a lot. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm in the same niche Catholic sphere as our homie here, Caleb. So yeah.
Well, fantastic. Hey, man, thanks for coming on. It was a lot of fun. Everyone still like, comment, say, subscribe, how YouTube's feel. Yeah, have a good night.
Good night.